Approaching turn one, we're on the right side of the road. We don't need to be extreme right, like tires in the dirt, right? Leave yourself 6 inches or so to the right side. As you peripherally pick up that reference point, the cone as we go by, we want to shift our eyes left. It's just beyond the pillar of the bridge, the support to the bridge, is the apex of one, kind of the base of that curve. Between cones 3 and 2, since we count down, it's the first one we're going to get to. Right side tires can use that square. Sealant patch is like another reference to give yourself the arc.
And we're hitting the colored paint here, right?
You can kiss it, but don't get all on top of it. At this point, once you've touched that curb, this is our straight line. If you notice, we're going perfectly straight.
I was more to the left.
This is where we do the deceleration, we do the downshiffting, and then we turn in to go to the right. Feels like we're entering early into 2, but because 2 is off camber, it actually works better.
Okay, so that was a mistake for me.
So we exit turn 2, full track left, and don't set up for 3 yet. Stay left for a little while so that your entry to 3 is parallel with the edge of the road, because there's a jog, right? So we want to be more or less straight right here as we turn in. Good compression here. Feeding throttle at this point. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Lift off. Turn to the right. Back to some power. And then put your eyes on the rocks on the near hill, the boulders or so. If we aim and drive straight towards those boulders, we end up running into the back of the Evo, which is on the outside of the track. It should line up with the beginning of this curve quite well for you guys. Coming into 4, I brake just at the end of that curbing on the left, which is the 2.25 cone, I would call it. Dragging the brake into turn 4, a lot like the skid pad drill.
So you turned at the last cone. You were in your turn already.
Yeah, it's a little early the turn in here. A little early with a lot of trail brake.
Okay.
How I go through 4. Yeah, brake, you know, drag the brake in like we did in the drill up top.
Okay.
Turn 5, as straight as you can make this, whatever you need to do to make it full throttle. Right, this corner should be full throttle. It's been full throttle in every car that I've driven except for one. It's as much lap time as you can gain here. Just keep that foot down and drive it through. We're full throttle in these cars as well, even though they're hollering at us a little bit. Tiny bit of brake, just drag the brake in for, I mean, I'm on a 3 pedal out of 10, and I'm on it for maybe 1 second in my head, like 1, and then I'm off the brakes. Not a lot of brake there. Starting to get down to the curb once the curb becomes visible. And as soon as I pass this apex, the last apex cone, I'm trying to look for the end of the exit curve, the part that I want to use, be parallel with. Right up to the line, you don't need to go onto the curb, but right up to it. And if you do that right, you'll have a nice straight line here to do your braking, to do your downshifting. Mark, as Nico was talking about, you can turn in just a little bit earlier here and carry momentum, because the hill is going to kind of diffuse that, and we can't put power down over the crest anyways. So take the shorter path and the more momentum up until the crest. Then you can unwind, exit, and squeeze power. Make this as straight as you can, grabbing gears in between the corners themselves. I aim at the Save Mart Supermarkets board. That gives me a good reference for where to be looking. Use a little bit of the first curb, tiny touch of throttle if you need it, off the throttle, use a little of the second curb, open the car up and unwind out to the right. You don't need to set up left very much for 10.
Oh, I was doing that.
Yeah, you don't have to do much. Careful you guys aren't turning in early for 11. It's easy to get in early for 11. We want to cross the paint about midway, and then you guys ultimately want to look for this as your apex point.
Oh, wow,
right?
I was more out of it. But
we're straddling the curb at this point, right where the curb is, or the apex cone is rather. And from here, I'm picking my eyes up and I'm looking at a spot on the wall that I want to become parallel with. I don't want to drive straight at it, because then we have to turn again. But right about where that orange pylon is, is going to be about my target, right? And so I unwind my hands and feed the throttle down so that I become parallel with my target. And I'll actually be full throttle before I get there because I've taken so much of a turn, the angle out
So
of it.
there's no passing over there, right, on that side?
This was one of our zones, just brutal.
Not here.
Not here, because
Not
over
here.
there.
This one right
After
here.
the king.
Right.
Yeah, and it's because we kind of set up one way and come back the other. So as soon as the cars clear this wall, the natural racing line takes us to the right, and the passing zone becomes open. Driver's left because the next corner's a left. So it's, you just look ahead, and whatever way the corner goes ahead of you, that's the side you want to pass on.
Right.
We get so close to this wall here, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and me both.
It's definitely new. It's a new sensation for you guys with the open wheels and air and, you know. So coming into one, again, you don't have to be extreme right, but kind of more or less parallel right by this cone, and then start looking up the hill. The big concrete pylon in between the 3 and the 2 cones, right side tires on the box, left side tires touch the curb. Now we draw the hand straight. This is where we brake, do our downshift, releasing the brake and turning in. You can use the flat portion of this curb, it's quite fine. We exit 2. We're looking for the gray square on the left side, hanging to the left for a little while until the last 2 cones, the 2 and the 1, become visible in a straight line or parallel. This is where you kind of line the car up to come into 3. Stay with this curve to the left, feed power, lift, get the car to turn. Now we're looking for the rocks, and you want to aim the car at the rocks. When you see that, now you can start to unwind and release, and that'll put you at the edge of the road. On the brakes just at the end of that curve, turning in slowly, dragging brake down to the inside, unwinding the hands, picking up power. Again, this is a straightaway. The brake is like this, light brake for a little bit of time, off the brakes. Kind of hanging out in the middle. You see the curb, then you start to make an effort to get closer to the inside. The bottom, you should be tight, then you can open up the hands and unwind.
So if you pass, you would do it here.
If you pass, you're going to do it there. The braking zone comes up quite quickly.
Right. Basically, the other car is going to have to stop to avoid you at that point, because you stole the corner from them.
Exactly.
But they'll see you.
Save mark, that's going to be kind of where you want to point the nose of the car.
The same thing, you can pass here.
Pass on the right before the braking zone. You're going to use this curb here, a little bit of throttle, use the curb there. Now we unwind and go.
Pass by